Hey everyone, I'm TJB Chris. Welcome back to the channel. Tonight I have with me my Radio Shack TRS-80 Model 16B microcomputer. And installed in said microcomputer is a TM848 8-inch floppy drive, which you may recall works. In addition to that, I also have a hard drive emulator attached to this machine. Previously, I had the Fred 408 attached, but I've since moved that over to my friend and channel mascot, the TRS-80 Model 12. So I now have in place a DREM complete with custom 3D printed case that I made with a custom designed Tandy badge with raised lettering and nice gray or silver paint, just like the Tandy badges would have been. I thought it kind of made a nice aesthetic, so I could get this thing from in a case and not just sitting there out all naked for everybody to see its innards and private parts. But wait, there's more, as the late Billy Mays would say. I also have these original Tandy factory install discs for XENIX 3.1. And I also have the original documentation, complete in original binders. This is the XENIX Multi-User Operating System System Administrator's Guide. And now that I have all these things together, I think the only natural thing to do is to relive 1985 and install XENIX 3.1 on my, not period correct, but still hard drive emulator, using the original floppy drive disks in an original 8-inch floppy drive and referencing the original documentation. Let's get right to that. All right, here we are, workstation all set up. I've got my floppy disks in front of me. The DREM is powered up. I've got my manual all laid out here, and the Model 16B is about ready to go. Now, before we get started, we're going to walk through the introductory section before we start installing. But before we do that, I want to walk you through the diskettes, show you each one, because that is the kind of person I am. I'm caring and want to make sure that you have all the information available to you. So, we have quite a few diskettes here. We have the XENIX multi-user installation disks. This is the boot disk. This is install 1, install 2, I bet you can't guess install 3, and then we've got the help files. That's right, I had to look at this one. This one is not installed as part of the operating system. That's a post-install task. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, this is the file maintenance diskette, which you don't install. You use it later when you have to get yourself out of a jam. You know, get yourself in hot water. Gotta get in there and, you know, back up or restore some files. That's the diskette for you. You boot directly to that disk. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to flip over to the manual. Okay, now that the manual's up, we're going to take a look at the introduction. We're not going to read this word for word, but I am going to highlight some parts that I thought were entertaining. And then we're going to get on to installing this thing and actually powering up the Model 16. So, taking a look at the first section here, we've got the introduction up. And my favorite thing is this manual is for me, the system administrator of a XENIX system. I feel so important and lofty. I'm a system administrator now. And it contains all the information I need apparently to do that. Now, what is a system administrator, you might ask? Well, they are responsible for installing XENIX, installing application programs, creating users, making backups, maintaining the file system, and setting up the terminals. You can have external terminals on these, my friends. And, you know, there's all sorts of powerful tools to let me do that. It goes into some keyboard conventions, and actually that's important because the Model 16 and its friends, keyboards, don't have a backslash or some other characters on there, a tilde, and a pipe. So this tells you how to type them. Now, the conventions they give you here to type them, I'm pretty sure aren't the only ones. So like you can use Control-1 for a pipe and Control-slash for a backslash, but this doesn't say that. Flipping to the next page tells us about some important keys. Break is a very important key, especially at work. And Enter, most important key on the keyboard. You Apple people may know that key is Return. Commodore people too, I think. And then it gives us some conventions about the manual, boldface for commands, and file names and italics. Now, interestingly, in the About Your Equipment section, it tells you to run XENIX, you must have a Tandy computer with 512K of memory. I'm kind of surprised they weren't more specific there, but I guess if you got this manual at home, you were unlikely to be me with the Tandy Color Computer 3 with 512K of RAM going, where does the disk fit, right? Or why doesn't it run? A 15 megabyte hard disk or larger, a floppy drive, we have one, and then you can use with it a printer, a maximum of 5 Tandy data terminals if you have the 3-port serial board installed, which we do. You can use multiple floppy drives, meh, multiple hard drives, meh, with modern drives, don't care. A disk cartridge system, interesting. Modems and additional memory. Now it's worth noting that I'm using XENIX 3.1 because these are the disks I have that say Tandy on them, and I don't have to make them. But long term, that's not the plan for this machine. XENIX 3.1 does not support all of the Tandy Emeritus upgrades that are in this machine, such as the MMU, the 7.5 meg SRAM board, the real-time clock, and even without those things, XENIX 3.4 offers some nice quality of life improvements. And the enhancements in 3.2 and 3.3 are also pretty substantial. So we want all of those enhancements in a full XENIX experience. So I think it's now time to get the Model 16 turned on, and we're going to install XENIX. All right, so let's get this installed. I'm going to try and keep my shoulder out of the Model 16's frame. And my hands, well, I'm kind of handsy, and so you're just going to see those, but I'll try my best to not overly inflect through my hands. All right, so we've got XENIX is supplied on 4 floppy diskettes, plus the extra ones you saw. But the biggest ones we're worried about is boot, install 1, 2, and 3. I should note this is XENIX Core. So this is the very core XENIX operating system. There's no development system. There's none of that. So that comes on, let's say, 12 or 13 of its own disks. So there won't be a lot of things that you would get with the development system, the compiler, and some of the other things. But that said, this will be a functioning multi-user XENIX system that you could install applications on when we get done with it. Now, it does say we have to only transfer to the hard disk once, allegedly. And after we've done so, we should keep the diskettes in a safe place. Well, apparently I and someone before me and possibly 3 other someones before me did, because I have them right here. To disk cartridge users, you must turn on the disk cartridge system before the hard disk in the computer. Do not run XENIX with the disk cartridge system attached but not turned on. It apparently will crash. Okay, well, we don't have one of those. We don't have one of those connected. So let's see. Okay, formatting your hard disk. If you have a disk cartridge system, turn it on first. Okay, then turn on the hard disk, which is already on. I powered that up. It's the DREM. And then turn on your computer. Now, it says I should run the thing for 30 minutes before I do anything here, but I don't think I need to do that because this isn't exactly a spinning Rust disk, right? So we should be good to go. The DREM's been running for a while anyway. I'll let the machine sit for a second. And if you're looking at my screen, you can see that I have a boot error HN displayed. And that's because the DREM has in it an unformatted 615 cylinder 4-head disk image. It's got nothing on it, no format, so it doesn't know what to do. So I'm going to do what step 2 says and hold repeat and press break. Now I get the insert diskette prompt, and I will take the XENIX boot disk from its sleeve, insert it label side toward the CRT for any model not 2, and close the drive door. And now we get a boot prompt. And so I'm going to flip the page here. And we're going to see that on step 4 I have to type diskutil. Well, I will do that. Turned off caps lock. They had it in lowercase. Okay, now it's going to ask me if I want to do hard, floppy, or cartridge. That goes back to that cartridge we talked about. I don't know if it's because of the Z80/68000 subsystem divide, where all the peripheral I/O stuff is on the Z80 side through Z80 port addressing, but you have to use a separate Z80 program called diskutil to format floppy disks, hard disks, and cartridges. And we're not talking about file system initialization, we're talking about the actual formatting of the disk. So in this case, I've loaded diskutil. It is the Z80 program that runs directly from the floppy disk here, and I'm going to type H for hard. Okay, hard disk unit number 0 through 3. Well, the controller that's in the machine only supports 0 and 1, and I only have 1 drive, and that's the first one, so 0. Okay, now it's going to say I must choose destructive or non-destructive format, but first I have to refer, oh, did I not pay attention? Type 0. This is destructive or non, and now the screen shows. Okay, so the instructions are backwards. Do the ones on your screen say the same thing? The manual I'm saying says it in the order I started to say it, but just by the way, that means the manual I'm looking at is the printed one. The one on the Model 2 archive, the pages don't entirely line up with this one, so if we get a little separated, I'm not as dumb as I look. It's because the manuals, they've changed over the years. Okay, so I happen to know because I set this file up. We have 615 cylinders. We have 4 heads, and the interleave as set in the DREM file that I have here is in fact 7. And now we get to the media error map. I'm surprised I haven't had the destructo question. Okay, well, we don't have a media error map. This isn't a spinning Rust drive, and even then, later spinning Rust drives often came without one because they were perfect, like me. So I'm just going to type done. Full, partial, or no verify. Okay, so we are going to type F for full and press enter. And it says it's about to format disk 0. It's about to take 36 minutes. So I'm going to press enter to proceed or press break to abort. I'm going to press enter to proceed. Okay, so while this goes, I don't know where the destructive or non-destructive came, but this is one of those things I'm not going to make you sit through. So we'll be back, or, well, this is going to dip to white or something, or clock wipe or whatever, and you're going to come back and 36 minutes will have magically passed. All right, here we are. Ooh, finishing up just as I was about saying it. Hard disk successfully formatted, drive parameters, and media error map successfully written. Your hard disk is ready for XENIX initialization, and now DiskUtil wants to know what else I want to format. So back to our instructions here. It says here we are going to press the reset button, and then we're going to hold repeat and break. Okay. Okay, XENIX boot prompt. It says press enter. Okay, and the screen should show system loaded, change root disk if desired once it gets that far. We'll just wait for it to say that. Look at my laptop over there to make my shoulders not in view. Make sure my shoulder's not in view. I think I just skipped the word sure. Okay, change root disk if desired. Well, it tells me to just press enter. After a while, the following question appears on your screen. Do you wish to initialize your hard disk? Okay, well, wait for a while. This is the part I'm going to make you all sit through. Okay, here we go. And you see here, System 132, User 890Q. Ooh. If you can hear that, the floppy seek rate has increased. Uh-oh. Okay. I don't know why I said uh-oh. Okay, do I wish to initialize my hard disk? The answer is yes. Oh, caps lock is on. Has it been formatted with DiskUtil? Well, you watched me do that, so yes. This is not a Model 2. If you have a Model 2 type Y, I don't. So it's going to set the floppy drive to higher seek rates, as it did. This drive supports 3 millisecond step rate. I'm kind of surprised at this age it's behaving reliably enough. Let's see what we get here. Okay. Do I wish to use the standard size swap area? The book says yes, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to flip the page and flip the page. Okay, we're formatting disk with 6 15 cylinders and 4 heads. I'll have a 39,321 block file system. Boot track is going, and the instructions just basically tell us to sit tight. And I flipped the page on you early there. Your page and mine are not exactly the same size. As I noted before, these vary a bit, so. But I'm waiting until it says, well, we'll just go back. Until it says, press reboot, please reboot from the hard disk after the system shuts itself down. And it'll say Z80 system control system halted. And then it wants me to remove the boot diskette from drive 0. And we should be able to boot from the hard disk. Okay, mounting hard disk on /mount, making directories. Isn't this great? TJB Chris reads the screen. Film at 11. Actually, this is a ton of fun. I can't believe I'm installing XENIX from real floppies on real hardware. Hard drive aside, but good luck finding a bubble that works on these things. Copying to root directory. So it's probably installing the very core of XENIX needed for installation on here. All right, let me make myself a little more comfortable. Root and swap and swap and root. Please reboot from the hard disk after the system shuts itself down. Halting system. Oh, and here we go. So I'm going to remove the disk from the drive. place it back into the envelope. Just put this off to the side, since I shouldn't need that again. And we're going to press the reset button. And I get the XENIX boot prompt. Okay. Now flipping to the next page, it says, the screen shows XENIX boot, press enter. I imagine we're waiting for the kernel to load. Ta-da! We have a XENIX kernel. No single user login present, entering system maintenance mode. Okay, here comes the hard disk file system initialization. Okay, here we go. So it's going to say for each floppy in the distribution set, insert the floppy in drive 0 and press the enter key or type Y. Type N after the last floppy. Well, there are 3. If you see the message tar, please mount new volume, insert the next floppy and press enter. First floppy. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to insert install 1 into drive 0. I'm going to say yes, enter. I notice after reboot, my seek rate has gone back down a little bit. Since it's a tar extraction, I don't expect a whole lot of seeking. It's just going to kind of read through all 77 tracks on each of these disks and kind of go. But I see lots of commands I know. Awk, fisk, as in go fisk yourself, grep, lc, lpr, no hup, password, ps, sed, sort. TX, a utility for transferring files from TRSDOS-2 formatted, TRSDOS 4.2, TRSDOS-II 4.2. TRSDOS version numbering in this era of machines is confusing and annoying. Next, floppy. Let's remove install 1, reinsert it into its jacket. Oh, I almost lost the version label there. And let's take install 2. Yes. And here we go. TSH, a Tandy shell, which gives you a TRSDOS-like shell. Maybe I'll show that when the system is finished installing. That's a TRSDOS-like shell for non-XENIX users transitioning over to XENIX. This doesn't have a lot of page flips because, well, it told us what to do, and it's like a for loop on a printed page. Make user, park, login. The line printer daemon. Oh, my favorite, UUCP. Oh, the DT100 install. Next floppy. Well, I'm going to remove this and put it back into its jacket, face down, and we're going to grab XENIX install 3. We're going to, oh, there's a version label. Insert it into drive 0. Yes, enter. Drop that in there. Run COBOL. You may not be able to develop COBOL on XENIX out of the box, but you can apparently run it. And that's it. Wow. Install 3 had a lot on it. So it says here, okay, so remove install 3 and type no. Okay. No. While that's going, we're going to install, restore this back to its rightful home. And so now we've gone through these 4 diskettes. We're setting up our directories and permissions, and I'm going to take a look to the left and make sure you're seeing what I'm seeing. Yep, okay. So I span the next page, but you're good. And then we will have some help file installation, and I'll jump to the correct section of the manual for that because that's not next. Okay, this program will set the correct time zone. Does daylight saving, now see there's no S on daylight saving time, but they've got savings like it's an account. No, it does not, because the dates don't line up. Daylight saving time in the 80s wasn't even near what it is today, so no. I am in the United States of America, and I am in the Eastern time zone, like it matters. Time zone changed, DST flag changed, time zone successfully updated. Installation complete. So I can press Control D for normal startup, I guess. Yep, type Control D. And you can see your next page is accessing XENIX. Mine tells me to install the help files. I can optionally display help files. Help files are the Tandy equivalent of man. If you install the development system, I'm going to just be like it's today. I'm not going to change the date because I don't think XENIX 3.1 does 1980 or does dates past 2000. Anyway, man is installed with the development system, but all of the help that Radio Shack provides is in help pages. Okay, so now we're going to flip over to accessing XENIX, which is already up on your screen. And I've typed in the time and date because I got ahead of myself on my page, but you were correct. So I'm going to type root. And I'm going to press enter. And there's no password currently. So they're welcome to XENIX 3.1, and I get a shell prompt. All right, the first thing we're going to do is type password. And I'm going to set changing password for root. I'm going to change my new password to my new one. And it's one of my usual insecure system passwords. Choose my password carefully, done. Got my shell prompt back. Okay, and what do we got here? That's where, oh, I didn't change the page for you. So yep, you can see what we got. Oh, now it outlines up. Okay, so now we typed our password. Okay, if I want to log out, if I want to roll out, I can type Control D. Oops. I gotta look at this keyboard. The R key is a little funky. Sometimes this should get me in. Okay, we are in. Now, it does talk about shutting down the system, and they tell you, although we recommend that you do not shut down your system on a regular basis. Can you imagine that? One of these beasts running just all the time? I mean, it happened. That's the great thing. These actually will blank the screen if you sit long enough. So, I mean, the thing's still on, but it will blank the screen. But I can't imagine running one of these things like 24 hours a day. Anyway, let's go install the help files. So this tells me I've got to look in Appendix B in this. I don't know if that is where you are or not. I'm going to look quick, but your documentation may not say. There's Appendix B, it's installing help files. All right, let's see if we can find it. Okay, so having looked through the manual, Appendix B is a quick reference to commands, and there's no installing help files section. It may very well be that the version of XENIX that is based on either didn't have the help files or just installed them as a matter of course. Well, worry not, because I'm here to install the help files even if you can't see the manual on the guide, because that's just how dynamic and flexible I am, folks. So here's what we're going to do. We're logged in as root. We're going to take our help files diskette, and we're going to follow the instructions, which says to type the word install. And by the way, the install utility is how you install a lot of things on Tandy XENIX. We're going to type 1 to install, and we're going to insert the diskette into drive 0 as we've been doing. And then it's going to install help. Oh look, online help pages, revision 3.1, catalog number 700-3030, which is interesting because the catalog number on XENIX 3.1 is, what, 700-3035. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see, where is it? It's over there. Anyway, camera work, folks. Anyway, I don't know why that is. The 3.0 version, I think, is 700-3030. And those of you going, but Teeter Chris, Radio Shack catalog numbers are 2 digits dash whatever. Actually, they were 3 digits. The trailing 0 is dropped. So 26 is 260, 27 is 270, 25 for the PC-based systems, 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000, 250. And you'll see that on labels on the later Tandy systems. Like if you look on the bottom of a Tandy 4825SX behind me here, you'll see 250 dash whatever it is, 1541 or whatever it is. So just an interesting little lore. And Radio Shack did have some 3-digit catalogs, numbers in their catalog, like AC adapters. I had one that was 273-1454A, which was a 6-volt DC adapter. So all of this is just to pass time while the help files install, so you have something to listen to. I mean, you've skipped this part, no doubt, but hey, for those of you that stuck with me, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of Radio Shack lore. And we're still extracting. I'm itching my head, and we're fixing permissions. And then we're going to get back to the manual, so I'm going to get myself flipped back to where I was here. And this is going to be building keyword file, adding users. That's, I think, what you've got on your screen. Yep. We might do fancier transitions, but the production values on this channel haven't changed much since the beginning, folks. That's part of its fun. This is my little corner of the internet. And I like it. And it's kind of private in here. Come on there, keyword file. I see lots of writing going on the DREM there. Oh, we're lighting up. Online help pages installation completed. Remove the diskette. I'll wait till the light goes off. Okay. And there goes my version label. I just hit my head, but you got to see my bald spot. So we're just gonna, maybe what I'll do is see if I can glue these back on. Drop this version label down here too. And we're gonna press enter. And we're gonna queue to quit. And that's it. So now we're back to the manual, since you guys didn't have the help file section. And we're gonna add a user to the machine. And so this tells me I have to run the make user, mk user utility. And it's gonna say, do I require detailed instructions? Because this is your first time to set up a user, it says, type Y, okay? And it tells me how this program will guide me through the steps required to add a new XENIX user. And if I don't know any of these items, I can press break and come back later. Login name, comment, group, shell, password, okay. So now it's funny, this is press return to start, okay. Nothing is updated until you confirm it's correct. I can always queue to quit, okay. Please give the login name, TJB Chris, R-I-S. I need to look at that R. Okay, I want the default group, it says, and I'm going to flip to the next page, by the way. I didn't actually do that. I've got to pay more attention. Okay, it wants a password of at least 5 characters. Okay. I'm going to re-enter. Did I get it right? Okay. Please specify the type of shell, command interpreter. 1, standard born shell, that's not born again. 2, visual shell. 3, sea shell, and not by the seashore. 1. Okay, this is an optional field where I can put in a comment. I'm just going to say TJB Chris. Okay. The details I entered is my username is TJB Chris. My group is grouped. Group number is 50. My comment field is TJB Chris. And my shell has been SH, born shell. Yes. Oh, sorry. No, I don't want to change anything. And now, group files updated, home directories are created. Now that you've worked through the make user program, you can shorten the procedure by responding to a series of prompts that appear on your screen, which I'm going to skip. And then we get to, I don't want to add another user. We get to changing a user password, which I can run the password program, or I can just do it myself if I'm logged in. And it asks me, let's do that. Let's log out and log in. Ooh, my pad must be slipping in there. Okay, did I get my password right? I sure did. Let's set a password. Okay, so it's going to say enter old password. Okay. And it wants me to enter a new password, minimum of 5 characters. I'm going to say TJBPW, because that is a really good password. And there we go. We've got ourselves a user. So the next section is installing applications and using application programs. So we're not going to get into that too much. There's actually entire sections here on the install program that I just ran for the help files, and also using things like multiplan and unify and profile 16, how do you back up your applications, and all sorts of great stuff about that, how to format diskettes, which goes back to disk util, and all that kind of stuff. So I think the last thing I'm going to show you before we close this out, because we now have a fully installed XENIX system. I have multi-user mode here. I've got processes running. I can type who to see who's on, which is just me. I am going to run TX, the Tandy shell. I'm sorry, not TX, TSH, you dumbass. TX is for transferring files from TRSDOS-4 disks in. Brain fart. Okay, so it says TSH, but actually this shell, let me see if I can find this in the manual actually. All right, we found it in the doc. So TSH, or trsshell, is a special XENIX command level that uses TRSDOS command names. So for anyone that's transitioning from, say, Model 2 TRSDOS, or even any of the other TRSDOS operating systems where they're used to dir and library commands and things like that, TSH is a great way to kind of acclimate those users to XENIX. It still supports things like directories and things like that, but it gives them the commands they know and love. And so here, like I just typed lib, which is a command in TRSDOS, and there's a CLS command here, and there's the alias command, there's I for rereading the drives, there's again for repeating the last command, there's dir, oops, you gotta type the R, you yuts. Okay, and it'll give me total 0, well, if I pwd, so let's dir. My R key needs its pad adjusted here, I think. Okay, there we go, and it defaults to the AL expanded format here, shows me who owns what, etc., what's a directory, and if I go again, it'll type dir again. That's a TRSDOS command. And then let's see what else. We've got device on here, TRSDOS command for showing devices in the system, and we've got single-sided and double-sided floppy disks. We've got, I don't know what, C10, probably the 10 meg cartridge system that we don't have. What else do we have here? Now, some commands aren't going to be there. Like there's going to be no setcom if you're used to that on the Model 2 and things like that. You can mount source, so a lot of shell type commands. Time, that was a TRSDOS command, although it's probably not going to let me set it. Yep, date. Yeah. Ooh, there's a history. That's kind of cool. That's not a TRSDOS thing. Backup, interesting. To do in TRSDOS, that would be JCL, job control language files, but not in the IBM mainframe sense. But they were like batch files, equivalent to batch files, roughly. Free, let's see what that does. And that shows you what's free, how many blocks, how many inodes, etc. And that's it. If I Control D to hang up on that, I'm back to there. So that's going to do it for installing XENIX on the Model 16B. I just wanted to kind of go through this since I've got, the original working Tandy floppy disks. I've got a working 8-inch floppy drive in my Model 16B, and I had everything else necessary to do this. Why wouldn't you do this? I think it would have been a bit of a tragedy if I hadn't taken this great opportunity, especially with the real documentation. I know you don't get that experience, but having the actual Radio Shack binder here and flipping through the pages, as I've been kind of doing, like this is just fantastic. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and stick with me because I have a bit of fun planned for Septandy. It's going to be a tad educational, but it's also going to be usefully educational. And yes, it is going to relate to the 8-inch systems because this is the area in which I feel like education is the most needed. And also, it is something that I've been enjoying because I have these machines and they work right now. So I'm TJB Chris. Thank you for watching me. I will see you next time when we are celebrating Septandy. Stay classy.